everybody, here we are again. My name's Colwin, Colwin Way. You're in my workshop, and behind the camera today we've got Finley, so my eldest son Finley. Today we are going to look at doing one of your projects, I guess, a little insect clock. And today we've got just a small, tiny little 50mm one. I didn't want to go too big, so we've got a little 50mm watch insert. And we're going to make like a little mantle one-piece clock or bedside cabinet clock, that sort of thing. We're going to use a timber that you seldom see. This is a bit of Black Palmera, or commonly just called Black Palm. It's quite an abrasive timber to work on, and you'll see the characteristics as we start going through this. It's a really interesting timber to turn though. What you have, and I'm going to bring it close to the camera, and Finn, you're going to have to just see, can you make out the little markings in it? So basically, if I go to the side grain, what you have there is little hard sections. They're like little shards of black straw going up through the middle of a very soft main pithy area, and they produce very sharp splinters, so you've got to be fairly careful when you're using this stuff, especially if you're milling it. You can get it mail order from most places. Certainly I've seen it in the UK for sale. Each country I don't know, you have to check your timber yards, but it's quite a nice timber once finished. Like I say, it's just one of those tricky timbers to turn, so you know we can't always get brilliant timber to turn, and even though this is going to be beautiful when it's finished, well, hopefully it's not going to give us an easy journey to get there. So you know, we're not always blessed with nice timber. So get the kettle, I'll get you a cup of tea, sit back, enjoy this hopefully for the next, I would have said 45 minutes. It's not a long project, this one. It's not a overly tricky one. We're going to use just a couple sets of jaws. I'm not going to drill the hole for the clock, purely because I don't have the right size drill bit. You're not always going to. And just for a one-off piece like this, to buy a Forstner bit to do that is going to be fairly expensive, so there's no point. Just going to turn the hole here. The diameter, let me just check that for you. It looks to be about 4 inches or 100mm, just under. It's about 97, 98 millimeters, so about just over 3 3/4 there. And just, well, luckily, really, they fit into these jaws. These are the Dove G, the gripper type jaws. But to be quite honest, you know, unless you're going really, really big, you could pretty much find a jaw size to suit. If you are going very big, then something like a screw chuck, a faceplate ring, that sort of thing, you'll always find something that'll grip. Or even if you don't, then a set of wooden jaws, wood plate jaws, like you've seen me use before, this sort of thing. There's a small set there that I use for jewellery. I've demonstrated those before. And if not those, what about a set of button jaws? You know, there's all sorts of things available. And if you're using button jaws and you're worried a little bit about the softness of the jaw, there is another jaw, or there is another button available, and they're metal jaws. They're called stackers, and you can replace the rubber jaws with the stackers if you want to. So me and Lily have long conversations before this video goes out, and I give a list of things that we're going to talk about, and I always forget certain things, or things come up in your questions. Sorry Lily, stackers for the button jaws, it might be worth just popping those up for us. Yeah, little metal jaws, and you can stack those up to do offset turning, that sort of thing, so that's quite a nice addition to your button jaws as well. Okay, so we're gonna get stuck in straight away. I'm just gonna answer a couple of questions. These questions came from the last session. So I just had one here. When using the beading and parting tool, what height should the tool rest be? The tool rest on the beading and parting tool will be the same as a skew chisel when you're using it to roll beads, and that would be just above centre point. If you're using it as a parting tool, then a little bit below centre point. So we tend to, when you're rolling a bead, go high. When you're making coves and parting, go low, that sort of thing. All right, so that was one. And then where should camellia oil be applied on the lathe to be most effective? So obviously the lathe bed, that's a good place for it. Also, things like your finishing waxes, that's quite good for putting on the bed to give the slide way, or to make it the slide nice and slippery. Also for camellia oil on the quill here, and If you take the quill and the lead screw apart, just pop a little bit on the lead screw as well. But any bare metal surface really on the thread, especially if you're going away on holiday or not going to be using the lathe for a little bit, give all the metal surfaces a bit of a spray, and maybe a little bit of a rub down with some Abranet or some cleaning block, that sort of thing. And just to keep that rust away. Here in the UK, we're just going into the winter and expect to have those wet days now. So you know, if you're in a workshop, certainly like this one, it's quite damp, so that would really help. Okay, so let's move on. Let's get on to our project. So let's make this little clock. I was in two minds. I was in two minds to make this into like a 3-piece clock, so where I had the main disc and then a couple of little round feet here, but I thought, well, let's just stick to one piece. We'll sand a little tilt on it so it stands up at an angle, and then it's a nice easy project, and it's not too fussy for these tiny little clocks then. So we're going to have a very slightly convex surface and an increased convex on the back. We're going to put a little bit of decoration, some beads and things like that in the back. I'm not going to use texturing tools, not on this piece of timber. This will not allow us to use them. We'll get an awful lot of breakout. This is quite a coarse timber, probably one of the coarsest you'll come across. And those black veins coming up through here will break out quite easily. So there's no particular good face to this. It's all good. It's pretty uniform. So just pick a face. Let's get the chuck on. These are the G jaws, like I said. Referred to as gripper type G's, and they've got a nice big grip on the inside. Now, wherever possible, when it comes to jaw use, if you're holding a bowl internally or externally, we try and use what we call the optimum size of jaw. That's then because if you're not within that optimum size, so i.e. the perfect circle, you don't have maximum contact of the jaw. However, all chucks have quite a big movement, and certainly in the Axminster ones they have almost 3/4 of an inch of movement, 20 mil of movement. So here I'm going to use that movement. It's only a small project. I don't need the power that I can get from full surface contact. So I'm going to open the jaws larger than that optimum size. Just check. There we are. We've got that nice and plenty of grip there. If you don't have the more recent chucks that have the little lock screw in to stop the jaws coming out, just check. Once you've got the jaw open as far as it needs to grip, just check number 4 jaw. Just make sure he's nice and firm, that he's not going to come out, that he's actually gripped. That's really important. Then we're going to just hold him in. I've got so many teeth on the inside of that jaw. It's a really strong one. In fact, Finn, we're just gonna come nice and close. So Finn, if you just have a look at this one a moment. So I just want to show the jaws. Let's get a bit of light on the subject now. You can see the teeth on the inside here. Look at that surface contact. So we've got a good amount of grip, and that's a deep jaw as well on that bit of timber. So there we are. That's going to allow us now, and I've just given it a good old tighten up. That's going to allow us. I'm going to clean that face up, do a rough shape. Then we'll measure the outside of our little watch insert, and then we'll get that one sized and put in. So absolutely as usual, you need to wear your face protection. Dust extraction will be on at quite a lot of this project because this is a horrible dusty timber. I certainly don't want myself or Finn taking any of this dust in, so there will be a lot of noise during this one. But we're all in there. I've got my nice little robust tool rest. This is the 6-inch robust tool rest, this one. Lily, once again, sorry I never gave you that number. 6-inch robust tool rest. This is the comfort rest. So the comfort rest of it means that I've got loads and loads of room underneath here. It's really nice. I can put I tend to be an underhand grip on my chisels, so it gives me loads and loads of room, and that nice hardened steel pin on the top there. So let's lay speed down to 0. Let's clean that surface off. Alright, I'm going to use a little 6mm bowl gouge to start us off. How's the lighting there, Finn? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let me know if there's any questions. Questions as usual, guys, if you have any. I'm just going to drag the surface first. just to expose the timber so you can see exactly what it looks like. So just take away any of that old surface, that dusty, dirty surface.
Let's try and get a bit closer.
There we are. Now you can see the grain coming through. I would say, you know, wenge or wenge, what they call wenge. That's the sort of look at this point. It will transform in a minute, but that's the sort of look. You can pull that lead over the top of the bandsaw there if you want. We're wrestling leads at the moment, guys, so bear with us. There we are. So that's a nice surface. So now I've got to think about what sort of profile. Now I'm going to have the front face of this just sloping away slightly. I'll have a little feature bead once I've decided where or how big the clock face is, and we'd probably do something on the outer edge as well. We're going to do a little bit more more in the way of decoration on the back edge, just because we can, really. So let's have a measure. Let's get a set of vernier. Which is right here. So these little watches, these little clocks, and Lily's got the part number for this one to put up there. But these are obviously, they're available in all sorts of colours. There's the Roman numerals on this one. But yeah, have a look. There's all sorts of shapes and sizes for these and different looks. Now that's got a little rubber band on the back. That's going to be our grip area. I'm just going to measure it without that first. And we're looking there to be about 45. About 45. So I'm going to measure again now with this on. Okay. See what extra that gives me. They've got little ribs, little spines on the back, so that's now saying 47. 47 with the rubber, so that's okay. That's my rough size. I'm going to go obviously inside of that first, and we'll use, what should we use? Let's use one of my little scrapers. This is a modified tool, not something that I bought off the shelf. This, I don't know, I can't remember what this tool was, but I use this just to shape the insides of recesses on trophy bases, that sort of stuff, or size them. This is what these little marks are. My file marks on the side, depending on the depth that I need. This one I'm going to go over depth, so we're just going to let's go up a little bit. It's going to go over depth on this. We don't need to worry about going too deep. The blank is quite thick. I'll just take that little plug out with the gouge, the bowl gouge. There we are, we'll just have a quick check. I'm hoping, well, definitely hoping that that's going to be too small at the moment. I'm slowly going to creep up to the size that I need. Yeah, we'll take another cut. Anyone there, Finn?
I'm not sure whether it's just a quiet day today, but I've got a few notifications coming up, but there's not much chatter today.
Okay. Say hi, everybody, if you're there. Give me some confidence. Another little check. I'm going to keep going. I'm just nibbling away, and I want that to fit in nice and snug. I think we're getting there, you know. Just a little bit more, and we're there. There we are. I think that's going to be it. I'll do a little leading edge. Chris, are you there? Chris is always a regular. Chris will answer if anybody can hear us.
I got plenty of notifications saying that people are watching, but there's no comments at the moment. It might be a new setting that Facebook have added, I'm not sure.
If you're making comments, guys, and we're not answering, we're not seeing anything at the moment, so I'm going to carry on as normal. If for whatever reason you're not getting this, we'll put it out as a recorded, but let's carry on. Let's just say that you're seeing what we're doing. We're going to carry on and talk and explain the actions. Best bit for me is answering your questions and talking to all the regulars.
I think it's just the questions that aren't showing up. So like I said, there's lots of notifications saying people are watching.
So give us some names. Chris, Melissa, David.
Yeah, so we've got Maxine Barlow, Andrew Pope, David Heath, Christopher Nunn. Yeah, lots of people watching.
Good. That gives me a little bit more faith and confidence. They're probably another one of those updates that we're never warned about, but that doesn't matter. Right then, so what we do now, I'm happy with the sizing. That's going in to the point where I put it in there and I was nearly worried that I wasn't going to actually get the clock face out. So what we'll do a nice little shape. We'll mess around with some beads. The overhang on the little clock face. I'll try and put it down now. I can't find it. What do I do with that, fella? Yeah. The overhang on the clock face isn't a huge amount. Look, we've only got a couple of mil, maybe 3 mil there, so that's okay. I can leave that plain before I do any beading or anything like that. The grain is running along the piece, so if I just drag away to start with, and we're going to scrape in a minute. Which are surprise a lot of you, but this will really react well. I'm just going to tidy up the outside edge as well. Look at those colours that are coming through. That wonderful grain. Now you really see the difference between the two browns. So that dark one is a very, very dark brown, almost looks black, and then you got that real sort of tan colour in between. It is literally like a load of sticks have been shoved together. It's really pretty timber to use. So let's bring that around a little bit more with a scrape, and I'll use the old signature skew for that one. Beautiful, smooth scrape it'll give us. I think that should be enough. I think I'm going to just pop a little line in there just outside the clock face. We're going to turn that line into a little bead. I'm scraping, I'm not rolling. I don't want to roll this bead. It'll tramline me, it'll grab the chisel. We'll do another little one here. And I'm not just doing it to decorate the piece as much as to show the grain off. These little bits of feature, these little curves and things really accentuate the grain. There we are, just to give us something, just to say that we've done something to it. Now look, we've got some really nice things going on. So we're going to sand that now, and then we'll turn over. We're going to do most of the work on the back. We're going to use a different finish on this as well. We're going to sanding seal and use the acrylic sand, acrylic lacquer, the chestnut one. It's a nice one. This timber, it's like a lot of burry timbers, decayed timbers like spalted beeches and things like that, and things with worm in. If you start using waxes and polishes that you're actually rubbing on the surface, they pick up on sort of more porous areas. So I try and use a couple of coats of lacquer. You can get more of a uniform surface that way, and you don't damage any of those interesting areas. Okay, so we'll do that in a minute. Let's get the sanding seal. Let's get some sanding. So a bit of noise. I'm going to start. With a 150. No, I'm going to start with 100 on this one. No, not. Change my mind. 150. I'm going to do 150, 240, 400, and then I'm going to do a 600. We'll give it a little bit of dust out. Then we'll seal it, sand back. Then we'll turn it over. So we won't do the acrylic until the very end, until we finish the piece. That'll really help me. And I think what I'll do to help me do that, let's pop a little drill hole in the very center. Now the reason I'll do that, I'll show you. If I'm going to spray something, I need a way of holding it, to spray it and then to let it set. So I tend to use painting sticks. Painting sticks are just bits of dowel. And I have an awful lot of things. Can you grab that bag over there, that little bag? That's all my painting sticks in it. So painting sticks, look, there's my bag of painting sticks. I'm on a mission at the moment with smokers, and I've got another 14 on the go. So painting sticks are literally that. You shove whatever you're painting on the end of a stick, and it gives you hands free, and then you stick it in a lump of wood, and it dries without getting paint or lacquer everywhere. So just a little 6mm hole at the middle, so I can, not too far, just do that, move my tool rest, grab my 6mm drill bit. I have a little pack of drill bits that I take everywhere, and I'm not exaggerating when I tell you that I've had this pack probably now about 4 years. You'll never find that, Lily, I know you won't, but have a go. It's the Fish 5-piece lip and spur, or might be called Brad Point bits, but I've had those for, like I say, about 4 or 5 years now. I take them everywhere and I use them all the time, and they're still going strong. And they're good and accurate, and they're a good span of sizes. So let's do a little. I don't need to go deep. We only need enough just to use for the painting stick. That's all we need. This gives me a hands-free option at the end. Okay. It's ever so strange not talking to anybody. No questions yet?
I'll try to get, well, something's definitely not wrong. I'll try to get the questions through by the end. But I'm not quite sure what's going on at the moment.
Okay. Okay, bear with us everybody. We're not ignoring you, we're just not getting the questions through. So I know my Thursday session is going to be really busy. Okay, so we'll give it a little sand. So remember, I'm going to start with 100. This is the RB paper from Hermes, and I want to mould the paper to suit all those little features that I've made. I'm going to mention a few people just to say, just so I can keep talking really. And I'll say hello to Callum, I guess Callum's watching. Joe, John, James, I expect he's watching. Melissa, I expect you're watching. Chris. David from Weymouth. Jim.
Okay, right. I've got the questions through on my phone now. So
You have,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
See? That's why we have youngsters around. We got a lot to
Okay.
catch up on.
Yeah, we've got a couple. If I start with, I'll start with James Pritchard. If I've missed you out, guys, if you want to put your questions in again, I'll get round to answering them. So the one from James is just saying, what are the pros and cons of diamond parting tool?
Of diamond?
The diamond parting tool.
Diamond parting tool. So diamond parting tool is supposed to give you a little bit more relief as you're deep parting. I'll be honest, I prefer a 1/8 standard parting tool. Just make a cut and a half. I'm not overly keen on the diamond parting tools, only because really they're so much deeper as well. But that's the reason. Nice. A little bit of sealer in a moment. I said to my wife, she said to me this morning, what are you going to be doing on the demo this afternoon? I said, well, I'm just doing a little bedside clock. She says, oh, brilliant, we need a bedside clock. So they're starting to be led now by what we need indoors as well. There we are. That's a nice bit of timber, isn't it? I'll turn the extractor off.
And we got a question here from Cliff. He's just saying, when will the tool rest review be released? If you have an idea. And will it just be the stainless steel system?
The tool rest review. Well, I done a video on last Thursday with Richard, the cameraman, on Thursday, and it was all about the robust tool rest. So that's the only one at the moment that I've done a video on. That is going to be out. It's imminent, I would say, within the next week. Don't quote me on that, but Lily, Lily, hold that question for me, and I will reply directly tomorrow with roughly when that one's going to be out. The robust tool rests are in stock now, though, guys. So have a look on the website. You will see them.
And Jim was just asking, are you going to be selling the items that you make on eBay?
Not anymore. There's a bundle behind me actually. We've done that right back in the early days, just to help out, do our little bit to say thank you to the NHS and raise some money. I'll be honest, they've all gone different ways now. All those little pieces have gone to lots of people, my neighbours, people at work, been reused. So I don't actually have a huge display. I'm having this one, just saying. Or my wife's having this one.
And Martin was just asking, can you remember what the size of the blank was for the seashell on Tuesday?
Yeah, pass me the seashell thing. Just in that bowl over there. We will just to your left. There, just there. There. That's it, yeah. We'll do a measurement for you. I think it was definitely 50 mil in thickness. And then, so the overall length, the finished overall length here is 130, so 5 inches. So if you start with a 6-inch long blank, 50 by 50, so 2 inch by 2 inch, you'll be there. All right.
And here's one from Len. He just missed the start. Can you just repeat what the jaws you're using are? The
jaws here are Type G gripper jaws. Type Gs. Now, you can leave that. It's not a finish sanding sealer. It is literally what it says. It's a seal. You can leave it. But what sanding sealer does is it soaks in, it raises the grain, and then locks itself. So once you sand this back off again now, that's going to be smooth forever. Now, what will worry you if you're not used to using sanding sealer is the minute you sand, that dust is going to pick up again. So let me show you. Nice and slow on your seal. Well, when you sand your sealer, because you don't want to start burnishing.
Just quickly, so what's the reason for using G-jaws instead of the C-jaws?
Just the size of the blank that I'm using. It saves me creating another foot or anything like that on it. Just happened to be the right size here. But if you had C-jaws, you could hold between centres, create a grip for the C-jaws, and then just sacrifice that little bit at the end, or turn it into a part of the actual design. Entirely up to you. So that's just denib. That's just taken that grain, that risen grain out a little bit. There we are. That's nice. So we're going to turn around now and use another set of jaws. Again, if you're using C-jaws, you could you'd have to pick the clock size to suit your C-jaws if you wanted to just stick with those. But now I'm going to turn over to a set of what we call O'Donnell jaws, named after Mick O'Donnell, the turner, the Scottish wood turner, or the island out of Hebrides. I think he used to live. I'm not quite sure where he is now, but very, very well known turner. I've got a couple of fantastic books out there in turning and decorating your turn pieces. But this jaw was his idea, and what it does, it takes us further away from the chuck. So it's a nice tapered jaw. It gives us a lot of room away from the chuck to do exactly this sort of thing, to start thinking about decorating. We're going to fit that inside, right there. Get it fitting correctly, and then there we are, and expand out into that. This is a chunk, this bit of timber. I don't need to worry too much about splitting anything, but I don't want to damage that internal surface either. So I'm doing the same sort of tentative steps as I would to be expanding into a middle of a bowl, that sort of thing. Right, this back side, a nice radius. I might take some of that diameter away as well. I'm going to turn the extractor off for this. So before I turn this on, Finn, are there any questions? Just because I'm going to make a bit of a noise.
Yeah, Len's just sent one through. He said, how do you get your locking pin to stick to your lathe head? Is it on a magnetic add-on?
It's a rough old bit of magnet. I got a bit that I'll put there, and I got a bit on the tailstock, which I do the same. But yeah, you can get some good magnets nowadays, and I use them all over the place. There we are. Right, dust extractor. Use a bowl gouge again. This is going to really show off this timber nicely. So I'm going to keep a nice radius backside, take a little bit of the thickness out. At the moment we're just rough cutting. Start thinking about doing some nice finishing cuts.
Just a quick question from Ian. He was just asking, last week you used a parting / beading tool. He's just wondering what the angles were grinded to.
So beading and parting tools, this sort of thing, is around about 45 degrees. Beading and parting. I'm going to soften these edges now. We're going to do a little bit of scraping again. good reason that I've scraped that. This timber is so porous. The likelihood of breakout coming out of this edge is really, really quite strong. So that's the only reason. Just a little bit of a scrape. I'm going to do the same to the very middle, and then we're going to put a couple of little decorations in. So back to that same grit. You can use your rotary sander here now if you want to. Let's see what the 100 grit will do though. If it doesn't do what I want it to, then we can go to a rotary sander, which is just a little bit more aggressive.
Just a time check, you're 30 minutes in. You're over 30 minutes in, just 37 minutes in.
Oh, okay. Cool. Feels like a lot longer.
Yeah.
Now this is a bit of Black Palmera, like I said, or Black Palm. Don't have to use exotic timber. Any timber will be a nice little project for these blocks. Nice little, I would say, nice little craft show or craft shop gifts. These. Not overly difficult.
Just got another question here, just asking, going back a couple of weeks, you showed how to do some pen making.
Yeah.
And you showed the pen blanks drilled, but you didn't show how to use the pen vise. Someone was just wondering if you could do a video on how to use that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Just trying to think about when we can do that one, but yeah, what I'm going to do, there's loads of things happening with us at the moment, Axminster, in terms of videos and these live videos. Because you've all taken and adopted them and encouraged us, we're expanding the live videos, so there's a lot to come. Certainly I'll be doing a lot more, but it will mean that we'll have little opportunities to do these little one-off videos on your request. Not necessarily on a Tuesday or a Thursday, but whenever needed. We got some nice little studios that we're going to be using. I'm not going to say too much at the moment. One of our other tutors, Ben the Pen Bennos, he's going to be in on Thursday doing the filming. He's going to have his own little slot as well, so there'll be a lot of pen stuff coming.
And Frank was just asking, what, if any, pros and cons are there between the O'Donnell inserts versus the sort of dedicated sizes?
Yeah, I answered one of these yesterday actually. One of these questions. Basically, if you think about the O'Donnell, the 50mm O'Donnell jaws, so 50mm diameter, they then take inserts to make them the same size as this one I'm using and the 25mm version. What they don't change though is the outer diameter. So the outer diameter is always going to stay the same. If you get yourself a dedicated set of 38mm or 25mm, the outer diameter decreases, so it gives you a little bit more room to move. If you're not worried about the room, doesn't matter. Go for the OD set, the O'Donnell set, and you save yourself a bit of money. But if you want an individual jaw with that smaller diameter, you need to go for the individuals themselves. So that's the difference. On to 150 grit now. We're still not getting questions through on my phone.
Not on yours, no.
Another change.
Yeah. It's another video request from Dave. He was just saying he's having trouble using the Tormek jig for sharpening the Colwin skews.
Okay.
Is there any chance of a video on how to do those?
Yeah, of course. So what I'm going to do, and I can't remember who requested it now, so apologies, but there was a request to set the BGK 400, i.e. the Tormek jigs, onto a slow speed grinder. I'm waiting for the grinders to come in, guys. As soon as that's in, I'll do all of it. The demo is going to be setting the jigs up onto a normal grinder and then sharpening 6 basic tools. I'll include the signature skew in that. They do grip. They do grip. You just need to work out your angles yourself. That's the only difference. On 240.
Gerald's just got a question about the sanding. He was just asking, why do you jump from the 240 to the 400 grit?
Most timbers you can get away with it. Some timbers, like sycamore and walnut, that sort of stuff, won't allow you, or exotics, won't allow you to make such a big jump. It really stems from my production days. If I could get away with missing out a section, I would. If I can get away with missing an abrasive, it speeds things up for me. But I will need to put a 320 in there if I'm using those particular timbers.
And someone was just asking, in the future, will Jason be doing any demos?
Absolutely. We are working right now on his room. Jason's skill set is vast. He's got a lifetime's worth of wood turning knowledge, but also cabinet making. So a lot of hand sort of stuff will be coming from Jason. I'm going to get shot of. Probably not supposed to be giving half of this stuff away. I'll just say yes. He's going to be doing lots, regular, at least once a week. Let's stop and have a look. Let's stop and have a look. Isn't that pretty? That's a nice bit of timber there.
Would we just be able to turn the extractor off for 5 seconds? It's quite hard to...
It's a bit loud, isn't it? Sorry, guys. Yeah, what a lovely bit of timber. A lovely bit of timber. Okay, so just a little bit of sealer. Remember, this is not a finish. This is just sealing the grain, raising that nap up. And my preference in sealer is cellulose. This is cellulose based, and it's diluted 50% with cellulose thinners. That's my preference. Certainly, if you talk to the manufacturers, they will say out the can. I found personally, if I dilute it, it will cut through a lot of the waxy timbers. It'll soak in a long way, and it also dries a lot quicker. So for me, that is the way I go. But cellulose, this particular one's chestnut. I'll mix that with 50% cellulose thinners as well. So a little bit of a sand just to denib.
Ian was just wondering, where do you get your bowl blanks from?
Bowl blanks all over the place, really. So I get some locally. There's a local timber yard to me in a place called Wiggerton near Ossory St Mary. I use the same supplier that supplies Axminster with its cut blanks up in Aberdeen, but wherever I go, I get given a fair amount as well. Most of my blanks don't come as blank; they come as actual timber lumber. So I'll get them as boards, and then cut my bowls to suit. I find that far more cost efficient. There we are. Let's take that one off. Now we're going to just do a little bit to this one. Yeah, anywhere and everywhere. There we are. Look how pretty that bit of timber is. Nice bit of timber. So what we're going to do is just just sand a little flat so it'll stand up on the table. My options were, I was going to put a couple of little rolled feet on this, but we just simply won't have time to do that. So we're going to make a little sanded base with this one, so it stands alone, stand on its own, and then I'll do the lacquering for you.
Do you always put the sanding sealer on with a brush?
I do, yeah. I just find that I can get better coverage, especially on those really coarse timbers. You can get it in there nicely and wipe off the excess. Wiping off the excess does a couple of things really. It speeds the process up, but by the time you get to wiping it off with a bit of tissue, it's already soaked in far enough, so there's no worries about that. And any pooling sealer on the surface will cause real sticky points, and that's the same with sanding sealer, same with oil, same with polish, all those sorts of things. So it's quite important that we don't let that happen. So just brush on and then wipe it off almost immediately. I'm just going to expand. I'm not giving this any particular angle. I'm going to, a little bit like the seashell that we've done on last Thursday, I'm just going to sand a flat that it can stand up on. Okay, so here goes. Extraction's back on again, guys. Sorry, but it won't be long. Won't be long. Can you aim the camera so they can see this bit? I'm just going to stand it up on the table, so about there for a minute. So before I do this, I'm just going to take a little bit of time to notice the grain. Do I want the grain running that way, or do I want it running up and down? And I think up and down is a little bit better, so I'm going to run it flat on there. You can alter it as you're sanding. If I haven't quite got the right angle, I can just tilt it around a bit more. Also got to be able to stand up, so how flat, how upright do I need it? Up. I want it just to lean back a little bit further, but I've gone and put a little bit of a radius on that back edge. I'm just trying to correct that. to us. Let's have a look at that clock. We'll turn the extractor off. And I'm going to give it a spray of the lacquer as well in a moment. So there we are. Stands up. Let's pop the clock in. I'll take it back out again, obviously. There's 12. Okay. I don't want to push it too far in. I want to get it back out again in a minute.
50 minutes in though. 50
minutes in. There we are. And how's that? Can everyone see that all right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can see that stood up as well. Working.
Yeah, I'll come down a bit.
Come down a little bit. Alright, I'm just going to grab that, Finn. Sorry, I don't want to steal your thunder. Alright, so a nice little bedside clock in Black Palmera. Or Black Palm. You search Black Palmera, you might find some on the internet, depending on where you are in the world. But let me just take that one out. Now this does have a little clear bit of plastic on the front. You'll need to take that off before you give it away. I'll just show you if I can get rid of it. There we are. So once you take that out, obviously things glisten nicely. Okay, I won't do it just for a minute. But let me just show you the spray that we're going to use. And I tend to use the little sort of puff technique where I'll put the extractor back on for this, but we're just going to put usually around about 3 coats of this stuff works well. Now this one's the satin. You can also get the gloss one as well. I'm on this sort of thing. I don't want that to be gloss. I want it to be satin. I want it to. Don't want it to be shiny, glimmy sort of thing. So give it a bit of a shake. I'm going to put the dust extraction on again for obvious reasons, just to take out the excess from the air, and then we'll stop and have a talk. Let me just get one of my painting sticks.
Just quickly, so a question here asking if the Axminster chuck jaws fit on other manufacturing chucks, say RP.
No.
No.
No. We all every chuck manufacturer makes the jaws to suit their chucks, because their chucks, and this is every manufacturer saying this, by the way, because their chucks are the best chucks. So they have a different holding because they think that's going to be better than anyone else's. That's how we all work. We all try and achieve the best, as it were. But obviously Axminster ones are the best. So there we are, painting stick at work. Just gives me hands free. We'll put the extractor on, give it a spray. Bench there, that bit of wood with the black paint on it. That's it. Okay, and pan back a little bit. So to accompany your painting sticks, you might be all well and good having a piece held like that. But if you've got to stand and hold it for 20 minutes, it defeats the object a little bit. So what I do is just scrap wood basically, and I've got several bits of this just where, just loads of 6mm holes in it really. That was for feet that I was doing yesterday, or smokers. But yeah, they just literally slot them in there. You can go away. That'll be dry within, at the moment, here in the West Country, it's still quite warm, so 10 minutes and that'll be dry. If you're in a really, really hot country, then it's going to be less than that, But spray, I would say, give it probably 3 coats. The first coat you're going to stand up, again, a bit of fluff. Okay, so the sanding sealer's done a great job, but there'll still be a little bit of fluff on there. So once you've done that, a very light denib, either on or off the lathe now, and then your second coat, you'll find that'll be much smoother. So again, another little denib. Your third coat will be absolutely smooth as. So you won't have to do it anymore. So there we are, that'll dry. If you're doing your craft shows or you're supplying craft shops, galleries, that sort of thing, then that's a nice, you know, quick make, really. It's certainly an evening's make or a weekend's make. The actual clock parts aren't expensive, they're not going to break the bank either. So there we are, guys. I'll leave that one in there so it doesn't pick up any dust. I hope you've enjoyed that. We're back again 4 o'clock on Thursday. Any more questions before we sign out, Finn?
Nope.
No, we're all
Nope.
good.
We're all good.
Thanks for your patience at the very beginning. Apologies on that. I'll try and get that sorted out before Thursday. But until then, guys, happy turning. And I'll see you at 4 o'clock in my workshop on Thursday. Bye.